Hello. My family and I had just recently watched all three Back to the Future movies. My daughter is 12 and had never seen any of them, so we watched them and I decided to go ahead and order this game because she seemed to enjoy it and I thought it might be good for the family. So I've done an unboxing of that in a different video and I thought I'd give a little kind of learn to play video here. So the object of Back to the Future, back in time, is to get George and Lorraine, these are their movers, get them in love and have the DeLorean in one of the three spots in the ready zone at precisely 10:04 p.m. on November 12th, 1955. And you get to that time by moving the turn tracker, so when the turn tracker gets there, those objectives must be met with George and Lorraine being in love. And you have the love meter here, which you try to get up. They're in love if you get into the heart track. And Biff will be trying to prevent that. There's Biff there. And he'll be trying to keep it out of the heart track. Alright, so to set up, you pick your player character and get your map. So you got Marty, Doc, Jennifer, and Einstein. And you get your 5 starting tiles, or starting powers, for each character. And you put their character mover here at the town square, put Biff at the clock tower, you got Lorraine at Lorraine's house, George at George's house. Got the DeLorean up here at the start space. And you got 3 DeLorean tiles that you'll need to collect. The cable, the hook, and the gasoline. And those go in the space, says where it goes. So Hill Valley High. That goes at the clock tower space, and the gasoline goes at the south shops. Put your picture tiles on the love meter, and the love meter marker on the start space. Set out your turn tracker, put your turn tracker marker on the start space. This is for 4 players, 2 players, and then you flip it over for 3 players. I've got it set up for 4 players right now, so set that. Shuffle your movement cards and put them in a stack. You get your item cards, but you don't have to shuffle them because you'll just get those items. And you got your opportunity cards, you shuffle those and then draw 3 and put them on the board where they say. So the ones I have here, this one at Doc Brown's house, this one up here at the North Shops, and one here at the Clock Tower. Your 3 levels of trouble cards, you shuffle those up and set them in separate piles. And then you just got your dice and your power tiles. You shuffle up your power tiles, make a stack out of that, and then put your 3 Biff knockdown tokens, and you're ready to go. So on a player's turn, you'll move your turn tracker. Of course, the first player just starts here, and then you'll do the actions that are underneath that turn tracker marker. So for here, it says you'll draw a level 1 trouble card, and you put it where it says, so this goes to the North Shops, and then it's going to have some kind of effect, a negative effect for the players. So with this one, if Biff is at Lorraine's location, each Biff rolled on the dice is equal to 2 Biffs. So that's double trouble. But if you go and resolve this, which we'll talk about in a minute, then it gets rid of the card, and then you'll get to draw 1 power tile. And that gives you more actions and things you can do on your turn. So you would take this off and put it up here at the North Shops. And the other thing you would do is draw 1 movement card and resolve that. So this one, there's no movement. Let me get one that just shows what a movement would be. So like this one would say move Lorraine to the north shop. Some of them say, you know, move Lorraine 2 steps clockwise and George 1 step counterclockwise, 1 space. So your spaces are divided by these white lines. So this whole area is 1 space. So if it said move 1 space clockwise, you just move Lorraine there. But this particular one, you know, said move Lorraine to the north shop. So you would take her and move her up there to the north shops. And then Biff, the Biffs, each time you get a Biff, he moves 1 step closer to George or Lorraine, whoever is closer. If they're equal distant, he'll move toward Lorraine. But in this instance, he would move, you know, 1 step to Lorraine, then he's in the same space, but you still have 1 Biff left to resolve. That would actually move the love meter down 1. So you can actually go to -4 here. But later through the game, if this gets up and you get Biffs and he gets in the same space, then it moves it down, you know, depending on how many Biff icons are on the movement card. So after you've resolved what other icons are on your turn tracker, then you actually get to take your actions. So, you know, if Marty was first, you would now get to take his actions, and on your turn you can use your actions to move your character, attempt challenges, modify die rolls, or use an item card if you have one. So each of these power tiles, you see, you can use any one of them to move up to 3 spaces, or you can use them to try to do a challenge and roll the dice you use that, you know, are pictured on it. And the different symbols, you know, the yellow is speed, the stars are courage, the heart is love, and the little green symbol with the flux capacitor on it, that's knowledge. So, you use these tiles to do your actions. So, oh, and also each character has one action they have with their character power. So, you know, Marty, he can, once per turn, he can move Lorraine up to 2 spaces towards him. And the Doc, once per turn, he can move to the DeLorean's location. You know, each character has their own special power. So besides moving, you know, what do you want to do? Well, the different challenges you can do is influence love, to move the love marker up and try to get it in the heart section. So to do that, you want to get Lorraine and George in the same space. And then you can do a influence love challenge. And to do that, say Marty was going to do that. If Marty was in the same space, let's say Marty was here with Lorraine, and he decided, okay, well, I'm going to use this power to move 3 spaces. Well, anytime you move, you can escort, if you're in the same space with George or Lorraine, you can escort them with you. So Marty may want to move, you know, 1, 2, and then he's got George and Lorraine in the same space, so then he can try to influence love, and he may want to use his power tile with the heart dice, so he can roll the heart dice. And that one's got, you know, 2 hearts. For each heart you roll, or wild symbol, when you're doing the influence love action, then you get to move the marker 1 space up on the track. If you get a Biff, then of course Biff will move towards George or Lorraine, whoever is closest. But, you know, Marty could also say, he said, you know, he wanted to roll a green dice. Well, he could flip that tile and say, okay, well, I'm going to roll the pink and the green. The green one doesn't have any hearts, so that's not a benefit, but it does have 2 wilds on it, so he has a good chance of getting, you know, at least a heart or a wild. But of course, then he may have a chance of getting another Biff too. So let's just say that's what he was going to do. He's doing a heart and a love influence challenge. So you can just roll them, or the clock tower is actually a dice tower. Oh, see, that would be bad. So he would have got no hearts, not moved anything up on the track, and actually got 2 biffs, which would move biff 2 spaces closer. So that would be a terrible roll. So one of the other challenges you can do is move the DeLorean challenge. And well, why do you want to do that? Well, of course, as I said, to win the game, you have to have the DeLorean here over in one of these spaces by the time the turn tracker gets to 10:04, as well as having Lorraine and George in love. So to do that, you have to be in the same space as the DeLorean. So say Doc was here and he wanted to do a move the DeLorean challenge. Well, he might use that power to roll the yellow dice. And of course, I'm rolling terrible. That would move Biff. But say he got a wild, or he got 2 speed. Well, that would move the DeLorean 2 spots. So that's how you end up moving the DeLorean. Now, when the DeLorean moves, it's going to first stop here at Doc's house, and it can't go any further unless you've collected all 3 of these parts. And of course, to get those parts, you got to do a challenge. You have to move to that space and then roll the required number of flux capacitors or knowledge icons. So this one, of course, just takes 1. And if you did a challenge there and got it, you move it here. This one takes 2, and the hook takes 3. So that they get harder to get. But once you've got all 3 of them, then the DeLorean can, continue to be moved towards one of the spaces, the end spaces there. As I showed you earlier, with Biff getting in the same space with George or Lorraine, that's bad, because then he's going to lower your love meter marker, and you'll never get them up to the in love track. So you want to keep Biff away. Well, one way you can do that is the Fight Biff challenge. So, if Marty was in the same space with Biff and he still had his 2 actions, he could, he's pretty good at fighting Biff because he's got 2 courage dice. So he could say, all right, I'm going to use both my courage dice to roll 2 blues and hopefully get, well, that's no good. He got 1 success, but he got a Biff, so that would really do nothing. But for each success you get on the Fight Biff challenge, the first one knocks Biff down, and let's say he got 2. So the first one knocked Biff down. Second one would put a Biff knockdown token there. And if that's the case, the next time a Biff comes up, either in a dice roll or on a movement card, well, the first Biff would just remove this token. The next Biff to come up would just stand Biff back up, and then any subsequent Biff would then allow Biff to move, as he did in the past. So it's good to keep Biff knocked down and with the knockdown tokens on him, because that allows him to not get over there and interfere with George and Lorraine falling in love. We can do, we've already talked about, you've got the Prepare DeLorean challenge, where you try to get these tokens and get them moved to Doc Brown's house. That's Jennifer, by the way. And then the other thing you can do is try to do these opportunity cards, which those always get a benefit for you. So, say Jennifer wanted to use one of her powers to move up there to the clock tower. So let's just say she used this for moving 3 spaces. So she moves 1, 2, and she wants to do this challenge. Well, it just requires 1 heart, and the reward is a power tile. So if she says, well, I want to make sure I'm successful, I'm going to roll 2 heart dice. Throw that away. We'll just do it in the clock. See what she gets. Oh, so she's successful. She only needed 1, and she got 2. So she would get to discard that opportunity card, and she'd get to draw a power tile. So this one, that would go on her board. Well, when you acquire it, it's acquired face down. At the end of your turn, you refresh any power tiles you've used. Hopefully you use them all. But she'd get this one, which allows her to modify any wilds into 2 wilds. So it's good to get these power tokens because they give you extra actions. And once you get 8, if you get any more, you can actually keep those and discard some of these starter power tokens that have less power, because some of these other power tokens that you draw, might be better. This one lets you re-roll any biffs. This one lets you roll a blue and a yellow dice. That one lets you roll a green and a pink. So it's good to get the new power tokens by going and doing these opportunity cards, and then you get rid of your starter ones so you have more powerful actions you can take. And each time an opportunity card is solved, it puts another one on the board. There's always 3 opportunity cards. So you would draw this one, and then this one goes to George's house. So there's always 3 opportunity cards on the board. And the last challenge we've kind of talked about already are these trouble challenges. You want to get rid of those because, they're bad. Like I said, this one, if Biff is at Lorraine's location, each Biff is equal to 2 Biffs. So that's bad. You'd want to get rid of this. So you'd want to get one of your players to come here, just roll 1 heart to get rid of it, and that discards that. And another one doesn't replace it automatically. You don't replace another one until a turn tracker, moves there. And you can never have more than 1 trouble card on the board. So if, by the 4th turn here, when the next trouble card is drawn, it would just replace the one that was on there. If somebody hadn't solved it already, it would just go off the board. That's really what you do. You take your turns, using all your actions on your turn, trying to solve these challenges, get George and Lorraine in love. One thing I didn't talk about is, so when this turn tracker gets here, you'll see this icon here. And that means to check the photograph. Well, if George and Lorraine's marker is not over here in the love section, at that point, you have to flip one section of the picture over. So kind of like the movie, part of the character disappears. If ever all the picture tiles get flipped over, you lose. That's just the end of the game right there. So you really got to try to get George and Lorraine together and do the love challenge and try to get the love marker up there into the in love section. But Biff will be trying to prevent that. Some of the challenges will reward you with these item cards, which you get to use, on your turn, just like one of your power tokens. And like this one, you can exhaust this item to refresh up to 2 of your exhausted power tiles. So, if Marty had taken his turn and he had this guitar, he could exhaust this and flip 2 of these tiles back over. We're giving him 2 more actions to take. And different items do different things. One thing I didn't talk about is if characters are in the same location. So, if Einstein and Marty are in the same location, well, yeah, it doesn't matter here. And there was a challenge they were trying to do there. Say there was an opportunity card that they wanted to resolve there. Well, if it was Marty's turn, and he had used all his dice and he only had a blue, which he was going to roll. Well, Einstein could say, well, I'm going to assist you, and I'm going to roll a pink dice also. So Einstein would get to roll his pink along with Marty's blue, and hopefully they'd get a wild or a heart so they could resolve this. So you can't assist other players, but then when it came to Einstein's turn, of course he's used that, and he wouldn't have that available until his next turn, because at the end of your turn, you get to flip all your tiles back over. So, as I said, that's what you do till the turn marker. Hopefully you don't end up flipping all of the picture tiles before the turn marker reaches 10:04 p.m. So hopefully at when the turn marker reaches 10:04 p.m. you've got the DeLorean here, and you've got somewhere in the love track, George and Lorraine in love. If at 10:04 p.m. the DeLorean is not on one of these three spaces, or not here, somewhere on one of these spaces on the love track, the players lose. And that's it. That's Back to the Future, Back in Time.